I'm Aktar Islam. I'm chef and proprietor for Opheem in Birmingham, the first 2 Michelin-starred restaurant for the city and the only one in the West Midlands. Well, Birmingham's the city I was born and brought up in, and naturally you always have a love and an affinity for that. Very diverse city, it's a very young city. Something that I think we've done really well is adopting new cultures. The food scene here has always been incredible. To be part of that is very important for me. Opheem is built around primarily British seasons, so we work with British seasonal produce. Farmers, fishermen, small family growers. It's all about celebrating our terroir, but also the flavours of Indian heritage and all the different cultures that have played part in creating Indian food as we know it today. As a nation, I think our beef is some of the best in the world, and the process of aging the beef is something that we're obviously famous for, and we dry age as opposed to wet aging in bags and so on and so forth. So that's a process that I think very much signifies British cooking tradition. Previously, we'd rely on our suppliers, our butchers, to do a lot of the aging for us. For example, fish, we'd have basically makeshift dry agers. We're able to now take that all in-house, and we can set the humidity, we can set how long we're dry aging anything for. We've got control over the entire process, so that actually allows us to experiment a bit more. We're in the business of flavour, that's what our whole premise is built on. So we don't go through this process for vanity or for the sake of doing it. There is a tangible benefit, and when you get a piece of meat or fish or poultry that has been aged, it gives it so much more intense flavour because you're getting rid of a lot of the essentially unnecessary moisture. You want a piece of meat to be lovely and moist and juicy, but there's a certain degree that you can remove, and what that does do in that process, it just tends to intensify the flavour. Using the dry ager, we're controlling the entire process, we're controlling the temperature, and we're controlling the amount of humidity that's inside the cabinets as well. So that's one of the reasons why I've got 3. So for my fish, I can have that set completely different to the other proteins that we're working with. And obviously dry aging, primarily it's about flavour, but ultimately it does help with the cooking process as well. So if you want lovely crisp skin on your chicken or your poultry, that's what you get. Skin dries out a little bit, then when you render it down and then it crisps up beautifully. Same happens with fish. It really helps us make sure that the marinades actually stay on the fish as opposed to just drip off purely because of the amount of moisture that's in the fish. And then with beef as well, we find we get a far better sear. That Maillard process to really build up those layers of flavour, and I find that so much easier with a lovely dry aged piece of beef. Beef is what we age for longest. We'll get it from our butcher. They age it typically for about 28 days for us, and then by the time we get it, we then will probably put another 28 days onto that, so we're getting at least 2.5 months worth of aging on it, so really intensifying the flavours. Our white protein, so fish and the quail that we're using at the moment, quail we give it about a week, and the fish we do it for 4 days. So for me, having the 3 cabinets, having that flexibility, being able to experiment and find what works for me, that's really important, and that's something that I've got now, which I never used to have before. Over the years, many kitchens that I've worked in, many restaurants that I've owned, I've always opted to have Williams refrigeration because I've found it to be very dependable. That's really important when it comes to refrigeration, and I think Williams, being a British product manufactured in Britain, I also know if I do ever have any issues, parts and labour and service aftercare, it's there, and they're able to support you with that. There's no inaccessible parts. We've got that confidence when we do a clean down that it is absolutely spotless, and we're able to get every part of it that we need to have access to. And I've worked with Jack at Vision for well over 15-16 years now, so we've done several kitchens together, and all the changes that we've had at Opheem, from the original installation to the 3rd time we've done the kitchens over the 6-year period, Vision's been involved in that, and I love working with them because they understand exactly how I operate, they understand what I want, and they work with me to create basically the perfect kitchen for my needs. Any chef who's considering getting a Williams aging cabinet, I would recommend it wholeheartedly, purely because we're all about getting the best ingredients we can and doing whatever we can to bring the best out of those ingredients. So aging is something that most ingredients benefit from. It's incredible what you can do. Now we're looking at what we can do with like vegetables as well, because the possibilities are endless. So I've been behind the movement for well over 2 decades, and it's something that I wholeheartedly recommend, and I think your customers will love it.